Hello and welcome to this Facebook Live where I'm talking about how to increase revision and exam confidence. My name is Lucy Parsons and I'm an academic coach and founder of Life More Extraordinary Academic Coaching. And what we do is help students with the study skills, mindset and habits they need to succeed in their GCSEs and A-levels. And we also work with parents to support them with the right support and help strategies to support their children to success. So what we're talking about today on this Facebook Live, and if you're watching live, please do say hello in the comments and give me a wave so I know you're watching. We're talking about how to increase revision and exam confidence. And this is something that I see causing problems for a lot of students. So I think it stops a lot of students from getting started with their revision, and it's really sad to see this. And the main reason they don't get started is because they have zero to or very little confidence in their ability to do well in their exams and how to revise. And this stems from doing badly in the past in exams and not really having the study skills, not having been taught those skills to increase their confidence and counteract those past bad experiences. And what I see really sadly is that this brings fear, it perpetuates failure, and it also brings labels. So I get emails from parents saying, my child's not academic or my child's not an exams person. And particularly I see with students themselves labelling themselves as bad students. And as you can imagine, all this stuff is counterproductive because it's giving the child the label. It's very fixed mindset, basically. It's fixing them in this identity of failure and lack of confidence. So what we want to do is move forward and give the young person the confidence that they need to have a go and succeed. So I was thinking about this, and it reminded me of the bit in Harry Potter and the Prisoner of Azkaban. Give me a heart in the comments if that's something that you've read or you've seen the film. It reminds me of the bit where Harry has to learn to create a Patronus. Who remembers that bit? Who remembers the Patronus? Give me a yes if you remember the Patronus in Harry Potter in the comments. And Harry had to create a Patronus because it was his way of fighting a Dementor. I can see lots of hearts, so I'm guessing that you all remember the bit with the Patronus. So the reason that Harry had to make the Patronus was as it was his best weapon to fight off the Dementors. And the Dementors were everything that was bad and evil in the world, in the Harry Potter universe. And in order to create a Patronus, Harry Potter had to tune in to what was good and hopeful and happy in his memories of the past. And the wizards around him were very doubtful about whether Harry would be able to succeed and achieve creating a Patronus at the age he was, because they just didn't believe he was an experienced enough wizard. But they had to have a go. And so Professor Lupin starts trying to teach Harry how to create a Patronus. And it takes Harry several goes before he gets a very weak Patronus. And he runs through various different happy memories until he lands on the right one that really helps him to summon the Patronus. But then he goes through more periods of failure until finally, when Harry is faced with the Dementors and he needs to save himself and his friends, he manages to produce the best Patronus yet. And this just reminds me of what students go through in the build-up to exams. Now, you start out really feeling like, you know, there's no hope for me, I can't do this, I don't know how to do this. to just having a go, because you kind of feel like it's the only option. You've got to have a go at the revision and the exam preparation, and then getting some successes, but having some knockbacks and all that kind of thing, until, if you really stick with the programme, turning up in the exam, facing your fears, and actually summoning up something amazing when you're sitting there. And that is just like when Harry summoned that Patronus in that kind of pivotal scene at the end of The Prisoner of Azkaban. So give me a yes in the chat if you can relate to this analogy of Harry Potter learning to summon the Patronus, and how the Dementors signify that really negative labelling we give young people when they're struggling with revision and exams, and how the Patronus is that goodness, the hope, the kind of have-a-go attitude that we so want Harry, well, and all of our students and our young people to start displaying. Okay, so thinking about that, what can we learn from it and apply to the exam situation? So firstly, we have to stop expecting confidence to come from nowhere. So really take that in. You have to stop expecting confidence to come from nowhere. If you do nothing, if you take no action, nothing is going to change. So Einstein, the famous physicist Einstein, had this saying. He said, the definition of insanity, I can't remember the exact wording, but he said the definition of insanity is expecting different results to come from the same actions, basically. So if you're just sitting there waiting for confidence to suddenly appear one day, that's basically never going to happen. And if you're looking at confident people around you, it's because they've had a go, and because they've tried, and because they've taken a risk on themselves. And, you know, me standing here doing this Facebook Live today, you know, I've done lots of these in the past, but it still makes me nervous, and it still, you know, it still makes me wonder about judgment and all that kind of thing. But I just have a go and I get on out here, and I hope you're pleased that I do that. So the first step is to stop expecting confidence from nowhere. You have to start taking action if you want to build your confidence with revision and exams. So the second thing is what you need to do to increase revision and exam confidence. So it's about stepping up and having a go, but it's also realising what the process looks like. So when I talk to young people about learning and how it works, I often talk about how a toddler learns to walk, okay? So initially, they can't walk at all. You know, they've got no idea how to walk, but they start pulling themselves up on furniture, and maybe they collapse on their bum, collapse into their soft nappy and look around them and like, oh, that happened. And then they'll try again because they're like, oh, well, maybe that's what I need to do. And then, you know, eventually they might take a step to the side and start cruising around the furniture. But they might bump their chin and fall down next to the coffee table and end in tears and all this kind of thing. But they keep going, they keep practicing, they keep taking on the feedback, the information from the failures, and processing that and doing things to put it right. Now, that may not be a very conscious process in a 1-year-old, a 2-year-old, but that is what is going on. And whatever we learn in life, that is the same process that is happening. It's about repetition, it's about picking ourselves up when things go wrong, it's about having another go, and it's about learning from the feedback. So when you're taking this risk on yourself to start revising, it's about doing the same thing. It's knowing that you're not going to have immediate success. That's very rare, very rare. Some people might have more success immediately, but nobody has immediate 100% complete and perfect success. Everybody has to learn from the experience and keep going and keep going and keep trying. And I think this is where people go wrong. It comes back to that fixed mindset thing again. You know, I'm a bad student. If I don't get it right first time, I'm a bad student, or I can't do this. That is utter nonsense. Everybody who has succeeded at this stuff has tried and tried and tried again. And I know that's what I had to do when I was revising for my own exams. And I just kept going and I kept going and I kept going like a dog with a bone. I would not let it go. So what do you do then to actually make yourself move into action? I've got 6 questions that for young people who are literally sitting there thinking, I can't get started. I haven't got the confidence. I don't know how to get started with this stuff. So the first question is thinking about, if you keep things as they are at the moment, if you keep going and behaving as you are at this moment in time, and if you do that, if you keep behaving as you are at this moment in time, ask yourself, what is the worst that can happen? So have a think about that, and you can even put some comments in the chat. So if you don't change how you're behaving right now, what is the very worst that can happen? Okay, the next question is, if you don't change what you're doing right now, what is the very best that can happen? And the third question is, if you don't change, what is the most likely outcome? So what's likely to happen? Okay, so those are the first 3 questions. And if anybody's got any answers to those questions, so if you stay doing things as you are now, hiding from revision, not having a go, all that kind of thing, what is the very best that can happen? What is the very worst that can happen? And what is the most likely outcome? So these are coaching questions that you need to answer and you need to work through, rather than burying your head in the sand. Right, the next 3 questions are about what would happen if you actually started taking action and engaging in your revision and in your exam preparation. So if you did go out on a limb, take a chance on yourself and see what happened by actually trying properly with revision, what is the very worst that can happen? What is the very best that can happen? And what is the most likely outcome? So what I'd love to see in the chat is some responses to some of these questions. You know, I kind of know the answers in my head, but I think young people, when they don't have this confidence, they're hiding, putting their head in the sand, trying to ignore the situation, hoping it will go away. But it's not going to go away. It is here, and you're going to be faced with that exam, whether you do the revision or not. So Annette is commenting, the worst that can happen is fail exams. The best is to pass exams, and the probable is to pass with low grades. So which of those outcomes are preferable? That is the question. Which of those outcomes that Annette has listed is preferable? And is it worth shooting for? Is it worth having a go for? That is the question. And, you know, I've heard a lot this week about students who just can't tip themselves into action. You know, they're on this balance point between deciding to do something else and deciding to actually take that step and, you know, start doing the work that they know they need to do. And it's about thinking, well, you know, which side do I prefer? Which side of these outcomes do I prefer? Because one of these outcomes is going to come my way, depending on how I choose to proceed. So that's really what I wanted to share with you today. So to summarise, really, stop expecting confidence to come from nowhere. It's not going to happen, you know. All the confidence that I've got in my life is because I've had a go, I've had people around me supporting me, and I just try and practice and get better and learn from the mistakes. And that is the same for revision and exams. The second is what you need to do to increase revision and exam confidence. Well, it's about getting started, but then it's about understanding the process. It's about repetition, it's about practice, it's about correcting mistakes and problems, and it's about filling in the gaps. And that is just the normal process of learning, like learning to walk, learning to talk, learning to tie our shoelaces, learning anything at all in life. And then the last thing is to ask yourselves those 6 crucial questions, to think through the scenarios, the consequences of whether you choose to engage and take action, or whether you choose to continue to put your head in the sand. Okay, I hope you found this useful today. If you've got any questions at all, please let me know. If you have found it useful, give it a like or a heart. And if you know somebody else who would find this useful, please tag them in the comments, or just click share on this live to share it with all of your Facebook friends. If you're looking for more help with revision and exam confidence, I strongly suggest you download the free chapter of my book, which guides you through how to make a personalised revision plan. You can find that on my website at lifemoreextraordinary.com/free chapter. So it's lifemoreextraordinary.com/free chapter. And that URL will be above or below this video, depending on where you are watching this. Alison says, we'll watch the recording with my son later so we can pause and discuss. Thank you, very helpful. I'm so glad you found it helpful. Yeah, and this is definitely one to come back to. And I'm just about to publish a blog version, which, you know, if you want to go through it more slowly and think about it point by point, then you can use that as well. So that has all the questions laid out as well. And I'll put a link to that in the in the description as well. So I just want to say thank you for joining me today. Do download that free chapter, share this with your friends, and have a wonderful day. Goodbye.